If you want, it's Emily Fox. Today's video is going to be all about books that are currently on my library waiting list. So basically kind of a library TBR, things that you can expect me to read in the upcoming months, because sometimes the waiting list is very long. With that said, I thought it would be fun to kind of give you an idea of what books are currently on my TBR, on my list of books to be read, and yeah, just talk a little bit about them. That way you can also decide if that's something that is interesting to you or not and add it to yours. So let's get into it. I think I'm going to do like about half of the ones that are on my list, so about 15. So one by one, let's do this. In no particular order. The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. This is a literary fiction book. This became a movie this year. I have yet to read it. I do have the audiobook, which is what was on my waiting list because I am scared of it. And the way I was able to read The Secret History by her earlier this year was to listen to it as an audiobook, so I decided to do the same. Plus it was the book that on Patreon you decided that I would be reading this month. So it is happening. Any moment, as soon as I was done with the one I'm currently reading, which might already have happened when I post this video, this will happen. I mean, she looks very fancy on her own picture, by the way. But yes, I'm excited to actually get to it finally. This has been on my TBR for the longest time, but like I said, I was very scared of it. But now that I have The Secret History under my belt, I feel more confident. So this is definitely like the next one, if it's not already happened, once again, book on my list that I will be reading. Then I have The Institute by Stephen King. This is his newest book. I just posted a video about all the books that I've read so far by him, and obviously he keeps coming out with more, which is, I feel like it's literally going to be impossible for me to ever catch up because he announced another one already, and I'm like, how? Do you sleep? Do you do other things? Clearly you don't. But I'm happy, I guess, because it's more to read. This one was on my list of most anticipated reads of 2019, and it's finally out. If I remember correctly, kids being kidnapped and in rooms, institute, paranormal power, moving things, I think that was the power. Who cares? All that matters is this is on my list. It just came out. I'm very excited to read it and share my opinion. I know a lot of you have already asked me what I think about it. Should happen in the upcoming days, hopefully. So yes, that is definitely on my list. Oh, the next one. Another one that I was really intimidated, so I got the audiobook on the waiting list. We're seeing a pattern here. These are, I think I'm actually going in order of the ones that should pop up the soonest on my list, but do you have the physical copy? Yeah. So in the background, I have this book, which I get asked so often if I've read, because I'm a huge sci-fi fan. I'm a huge First Contact with Alien fan. The Three-Body Problem. I know, I have yet to read this. Technically, I read the first chapter in a tri-chapter book tag where I was reading the first chapter of a bunch of classic sci-fi, and this one, see, it's still open the right page. I had read the first 22 pages and I realized, oh, this seems very heavy. I don't know if it's because it's translated or if it's just that I'm not in the mood to read something heavier. Basically, I was slumpy-ish whenever I ended up reading the first chapter, hence the book tag. And I never ended up going back to it. And it's been like in my head for the longest time that I need to actually do this because, again, First Contact with Aliens, everyone has been raving about this so much. And yeah, it needs to happen. I think I might put this in a challenge for 2020. That way I will have no choice but to do it. And then I'll be able to read the whole trilogy because it is all out. So yes, definitely on my list of books to read very soon, hopefully. Another book that is on my list is Witchmark by C.L. Polk. This is a fairly recent book that seems to be a lot of different genre all at once. Historical fiction, romance, fantasy, and I decided to add it to my list because witch. I have been on a huge witchy magical power kick, and I thought this one could be an easier read for the fall because I have been all over the place with my reading, and I am warned that there's going to be a little bit of romance, but I'm definitely hoping that I will enjoy it because let's be real, any book that contains magic shall be read by me. So this one is definitely on my list. I can't wait to update you on it. Then because for some reason I would like to think of myself as someone that reads contemporary and like newer literary fiction books that come out, and I do it every year because I do like to get out of my comfort zone / I have a feeling that these books will be on the list in the Goodreads Choice Award, and since every year I make it a challenge to read those winners so I can do my own award at the end of the year, I have a feeling that these will be on there, so I should get to them as soon as possible. Let's be real though. Sometimes I do end up enjoying it. It's just that I feel like quite often they end up being 3 stars for me, but I do like to get out of my comfort zone when I do some reading. So as long as it's not every single book that I read, I do like to have a little bit of them. So there are, I believe, 3 of them. The first one is The Most Fun We Ever Had by Claire Lombardo. And like I said, it is a contemporary fiction, literary fiction, whatever, book. And it's a like family drama type of thing. You're following 4 sisters basically through their lives. Then you have Normal People by Sally Rooney, which this one is supposed to be about some type of romance, family drama, friendship and everything. So again, contemporary. I'm really selling them, I know. But they have really great rating, and I've seen them everywhere, like in magazines and like articles online and everything of like newest book to try. They all just came out also this year, so that's why they're on my list. Basically, one of the things about my library choices, the books that I get from the library, are usually books that either I can't find anywhere or they're new, so I don't really want to spend full price on a book, or they are out of my comfort zone, so I don't want to commit to buying the book. So hence some of these books are books that I'm like a little about them. I am interested, obviously, otherwise they wouldn't be on that list. But they're books that I don't know how much I will enjoy them. So it doesn't sound good, but I think there's a little bit of logic in here. And then I believe this is the last one in that category. I have Ask Again by Mary Beth Keane. And this one is about, again, 2 neighbor family and the friendship between the children. It's basically like their lives, you know, generation, family drama and everything. You can kind of see that's the theme that seems to be going on in the last couple of years. I feel like a lot of the books that I've been reading are a bit about that. But again, a book that has amazing ratings. It seems to be quite popular. All 3 of them seems to have a bunch of reviews on Goodreads so far. So, and all of them are positive. So I'm definitely interested. I'm struggling to explain things, but yeah, if you were looking into those books, if you're someone that usually enjoys all of those new contemporary, adult contemporary things like, you know, Little Fires Everywhere and everything, that one was everywhere last year. These are the ones for this year, basically. One of the things that I tend to use my library for is nonfiction. I feel like I don't find a lot of them at used bookstores, which is where I usually buy most of my books. So I tend to, again, utilize my library for that. And audiobooks is usually also a great way to do that because, one, the waiting list is usually shorter. And second, I have an easier time going through them if I listen to them instead of like sitting down, because otherwise I have to be in the right mood, right? So audiobook is just a very easy way to go through them. And I feel like audiobook, some books are just not meant to be listened to, or I can't really go through them because I can't listen to, you know, always 2 hours in one go. And I feel like nonfiction, it's pretty easy to put them down. And then when you turn them back on, it's not hard to remember where you were at. So I have a couple. The first one is from last year. It is How to Change Your Mind: What the New Science of Psychedelic Teaches Us About Consciousness, Dying, Addiction, Depression, and Transcendence by Michael Pollan. That sounds very intense. But it's basically about some of the new discoveries with science, drugs. If I remember correctly, you know how some studies are starting to come out with the fact that magic mushrooms are being used to help people with depression and just like dealing with life, and I think it's microdosing. Anyway, I believe it's a little bit about that and basically where we're at with those discoveries, which I think is a very interesting topic. So that was on my list. It's a very popular one. I've seen it again everywhere. That's kind of why I was interested. And so far the ratings on Goodreads are also really good. Like it's at 4.28 and there's over 20,000 reviews, which nonfictions don't tend to get as many ratings as, you know, fiction in general. So pretty popular. Another one that I have is Thinking Fast and Slow by Danielle Kahneman, which this one is a bit older, 2011. Is that older? I have that one, I believe, on my shelf, which is now here. It used to be there. And I have had it, a physical copy, for a while, and I have yet to pick it up, hence going through the audiobooks instead, because I just want to make sure I actually do read it. And this one was raved about once again everywhere. I'm pretty sure it's probably been on those like Goodreads Choice Award thing. Basically, this one is supposed to be about how the mind works, basically that we're thinking fast and slow. But basically it's a nonfiction about like psychology, a little bit self-help, which is probably why I've been a little scared to pick it up, because I've talked about it a little bit in the past, but my brain does not do well with self-help. Like I'll read it and I'll be like, sure, I want my life to be perfect. And then my brain is like, sure, as if that's gonna work. So I'm hoping that the book will definitely be more palatable for me. But yeah, I'm still interested obviously in reading it, hence trying to get the audiobook so I can actually get to it. Oh, and this one has like over 200,000 reviews. So, and the rating is like over 4. So that's kind of why I was interested. When you see a book this popular, you wonder, why did everyone like it? Why did everyone read it? So the last nonfiction that I have on my list is Stay Sexy and Don't Get Murdered, the definitive how-to guide. I believe this is a podcast originally. My favorite murder podcast. I haven't listened to that. I haven't actually never listened to podcasts. If you have any recommendations, please feel free. But yes, I know that it's about basically things to learn about not getting murdered. I'm gonna say women just because I think the majority of the target demographic is women, but obviously everyone can be. But I think it's mostly about the fact that women are being told, you know, be nice, be polite no matter what, and how those things can be abused by predators, and how basically your safety is more important than being nice and polite. So I think they share a bunch of stories like that kind of to try and help you. It kind of gives me vibe of The Gift of Fear, if I remember correctly. I read that years ago because it was recommended to me, and I did enjoy it, although it's been a while, so I probably should reread this to get a refresher. But yes, I was interested in reading it since everyone seems to be raving about it. The waiting list for that one is like so long. I don't remember where I'm at exactly, actually. When I start talking too fast, my mouth is still struggling at this point. I'm like, You may have noticed. But I'm getting so much better, right? But yeah, sometimes, again, when I get a little too excited. I think that one is the last one on my list. Yep, I still have 22 weeks to wait to get this one. So you're getting a warning way in advance, so if you want to read it in the next 22 weeks, we can read it together. Oh well, but still, if that's something that interests you, you can try and find it at your library or just get it in store or something. So yeah, that's the last one on my list. Yeah, it came out in May this year, so it is fairly recent, which probably explains the waiting list. But I'm excited for it. One book that I decided to put my name on the waiting list because I have a feeling I probably won't like it, but I'm curious. I want to know. I hear people raving about it, so don't worry. I'm aware that I will most likely not love it, but I can't help it. It's Sorcery of Thorns, which you're probably looking at that cover and you're like, dude, what are you doing? It is a YA fantasy / romance, and I believe it is about fairies, which again, I know I have not been lucky with fairies. With that said, people love it. I want to know what the hype is about. So yeah, I put my name on the list for, I believe again, the audiobook, which is probably going to make it worse. But yeah, I'm just admitting that it's on that list because everyone raves about it. And I know that there's a chance I might not love it, hence getting it from the library instead of buying it. So I'm doing the right thing here, I think. And if I love it, I can always find a copy. I also have a few mystery thriller horror just because I do have a shelf of physical books, but I tend to have such a hit and miss relationship with a bunch of them that sometimes it's easier to get the newest one from my library because they tend to hoard those. Like some of my favorite like fantasy sci-fi, I can't get them from my library because they never get them, or they get them like years later, or only the most popular ones, and the older ones, they don't have them. But mystery thriller, horror, and romance, but I don't really care for those, they will get them. So I tend to, again, utilize my library as much as possible for those. So the first one is Runaway by Arlene Coben. That cover though, maybe another reason I don't want it on my shelf. But seriously, this one is a mystery that also came out this year. And I'm not gonna look what it is about because I don't really remember, / I really prefer to go into my mystery thriller horror blind. So that's the first one. The next one I have, I thought it was on the Goodreads Choice Award of last year, which was the reason I wanted to get to it or try to, but anyway, Paranoid by Lisa Jackson, which I put it on my list a while ago, it feels like, and now there are more reviews and they're not really positive. it doesn't matter. I will hopefully get to that one too, unless y'all tell me that it sucks, which I might still get to anyway. But yet that one is also on my list. And then the last one in that category is Dear Wife by Kimberly Bell, which is also a new one that came out this year. This one is a thriller. This one, the reviews are incredibly positive, hence why I wanted to try and get to it. So those are the thriller, mystery, horror. And then I have some fantasy. Usually I tend to not be able, like I said, to get them at my library. But I wanted to ask you in this video if I should start with the other series from this author or this one. So you get to vote. It is Spellslinger by Sebastian Castel, which I have, what is it called? I can't remember. Traitor's Blade, whichever the first book in that series is. Which one am I supposed to start with? Because they might not even be connected, but I believe both series are completed, possibly. So let me know which fantasy series I'm supposed to start with, because I can't keep up. There are too many books at this point. So that's probably mostly it. I do have a few other ones that are fantasy. I have Frundryside because I have yet to read it. It's been in my TBRs on so many lists of books I want to read literally all year long, and I have yet to pick it up. So I think I'm going to try to read it before the end of the year, or it's going to be like one of the first ones that I read in January, because what am I doing? Magic, fantasy. I will love it. That's the thing. I literally know I will love this, and book 2 is coming out, I believe, next year. So I have zero excuses except that things have been so chaotic. So yeah. And then I also wanted to finish For Dead Queens, which is a YA fantasy. I read the first couple chapters. It was available online, and I actually really enjoyed it. The review seems to be a little bit all over the place, but I really enjoyed the writing for the beginning. I thought I was able to flow through it. So at this point, it's just a question of picking it up, because I don't want to add it to my pile of shame. If you don't know, I just have a bunch of books that I put down for no reason. Not that I didn't like them, just for no reason. This one I have a good excuse, but still, at this point, I shouldn't use that excuse anymore and just commit to it and finish the damn book. Is that enough? I think that's about half the books that are currently on my waiting list at the library. Have you read any of these? Should I try to get to them as fast as possible? Any of them that caught your eye, that you're interested in? Let me know also the ones that are on your list, because I want to know. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and let me know if you are interested in me doing these every couple of months or something. Don't forget to subscribe, because you definitely don't want to miss any future videos, and I will be putting more videos on the screen that I recommend you check out, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.